Okay. So, namaste, doctor. I want to, yeah, namaskara. Basically, your question is more related to spiritual journey. What are the pitfalls and what sort of toolkits are required in the spiritual journey? Is that right understanding?
Correct. A survival kit for a spiritual journey. They didn't. Yeah.
Okay. So let me take up. What I'll do is I'll give a small visual, explain something. Then you can ask a question. Again, we'll go like that. It'll be more. We'll go more interactively.
Interact. Okay, sure.
Okay. What do you mean by spiritual journey? What is spiritual journey for us? Is there a spiritual journey? Is there a material journey? So this concept of spiritual journey itself is not a right understanding of life. Because everything is spirit, everything is consciousness only. There's no spirit and matter. There's no spirit and consciousness and matter. There's only consciousness.
Yeah.
So when we speak of spiritual journey, so it appears that we are in a material world and we are trying to do a journey into consciousness, which is not a right understanding of life. Of course, a popular understanding of life is that we are living in a material world and we want to go to the spirit, consciousness. That's a popular understanding. But in reality is, there's only consciousness. The world, material world is not real. In that sense, there's no spiritual journey as such. There is only one life, not material life, not spiritual life. It's only one life, the divine life. But since we don't recognize it, we have a sense of journey, apparently. So now, having said that, in popular understanding, we'll split life into material life and spiritual life, popular understanding. We believe that we are human beings having a spiritual goal to realize the spiritual nature. On the contrary, we are spiritual beings dreaming that we are human beings. So it is not a journey, but waking up from the dream, which makes a difference. Lord, let me show a small PPT, then we'll proceed to the question. See, how does the spiritual journey, so-called spiritual journey starts or happens? What we call a spiritual journey, look at the image. Most of the people go from 1 to 5. Self-empowerment, self-suffering, self-improvement, self-transformation, self-surrender or self-transcendence, and self-realization. These are the typical stages if you call life as a spiritual journey. So all of us feel very limited. We want to experience more power, more unlimited, more of being unlimited. We want to drop our limitation, that I call as self-empowerment. Self-empowerment is seeking. So if you feel more empowered, you feel more happy. So that's why we are seeking happiness in life. So gradually, we work towards that. We work towards self-empowerment by seeking happiness, which lead to self-suffering. If you look at the word capital self, I use the small SELF. And only for the Atma or the spirit or soul, I have used the capital SELF. SELF is the ego, identify the body. More empowerment we seek in the world, more suffering we go through. Because our sense of empowerment is, I have to become more powerful, I have to expand myself, for which I have to work hard. And when I work hard, the success and failures follow, which causes more stress in life. That's called self-suffering. Such a person is called samsari. So then what happens? Some of the people who are intelligent realize that my direction in which I am going has to be changed. No matter how hard I try, I'm not peaceful. I'm not happy. So then people start looking for self-improvement. So millions and millions of books are there on self-improvement. Actually, self-improvement books are more popular than any of our scriptures. Millions of copies of self-improvement books are sold. How to manage your mind, how to feel happy, how to manage your wife, how to manage your husband, how to manage your boss, how to become successful in life. All those are self-improvement. Even self-improvement seems to be temporary. Beyond a certain point, it doesn't work. Because self is nothing but our image. Who am I? The image cannot be improved. Then many people go to the next stage called self-transformation. So they understand my limitation is my image, what I am. I have to transform myself. So that's where people enter into a religious life or yogic life. They look for self-transformation in terms of yoga, which can be Kriya Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, or variety of yoga. Yoga means union. I want to expand, I want to transform myself into a greater being. And finally, very few people come to self-surrender. Means they realize my concept of image of myself is the problem. No matter how hard I try, the self cannot be improved. The self cannot be transformed. Self has to be surrendered. And the surrender self is the transcendence. I go beyond. That's called self-realization. Now I use the word capital SELF. So this is 1 to 5 is a typical journey in the life of a human being. Many people will get stuck at 1. Some people go to 1 to 3. Some people go to 1 to 4. Some people reach 5. This is Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanamante Dnanaman Mam Prapadyate Sam Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sam Mahatma Sadurlabha. It takes many lifetimes of maturity going through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to realize who am I? To realize the transcend the self. Any questions, Doctor?
No, I guess it is very nicely explained the stages of evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
the yoga. I mean, even the karma yoga also falls into the same category of jnana. Kriya, bhakti, and karma.
Self-transformation. Wherever you have used the word yoga, it's called self-transformation. Right? Why does somebody do Kriya Yoga? I want to purify myself. I want to Chitta Shuddhi. Right? I want to, basically, that I is there. Ego is there. So the ego is going for transformation. So typically, there are 3 levels of transformation ego. Rajasic, Tamasic, Rajasic, and Sattvic. Tamasic is dullness. Rajasic is activity. Sattvic is happiness, knowledge. So basically, in this journey of 1 to 5, somebody goes through Tamasic to Rajasic, Rajasic to Sattvic. And in the stage 5, he transcends the Sattvic also. You have to drop all the 3 egos, Tamasic ego, Rajasic ego, Sattvic ego. It goes beyond these egos. So that is the journey, 1 to 5.
I mean, you had mentioned one time that, getting jnana is more important to I mean, all these yogas will help you in the purification and chitta shuddhi. So in this 1 to 5, you mentioned, where does acquisition of jnana fit in?
So that will actually, there's a progressive knowledge about self and the world. but real jnana happens 4 to 5. Mitri, slide share. Slide. Okay. So here in the spiritual journey, I said there is empowerment. What we empower, what is this empowerment? We are the infinite self, Atma, the infinite spirit. We are the pure consciousness. But by birth, we don't know about it. We live with the limitation of I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. This is called 3 bondages for Jivatma. So now, when I am limited by body, I am limited in space. When I am limited by mind, I have a limited happiness. When I am limited by intellect, I have a limited knowledge. So kartaham, bhoktaham, jnataham is the limitation. But we don't know this. We try to overcome this limitation by going into various methods of empowerment. Money, power, position, sex, relationships. We try to all of that. So what is the freedom? I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. Nanembudu nanalla, ideha manabuddhi nanalla, Sachidananda Atma Shivoham, Shivanam Nane, Shivoham, Shivoham. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm pure consciousness. This is the realization. But this realization doesn't happen overnight. A journey is required. So this journey is what we call a spiritual journey. The spiritual journey, essence of spiritual journey is to become free from 5 anatmas, or we identify with the 5 not me's, not self. Positions, profession, relationships, body and mind, we identify with that. So this causes the limitation in our life and causes immense suffering. So what we call as I am, identifying with the body, I am the mind, becomes ahankara. So then we identify the mamakara, mind, family, relationships, house. Ahankara, mamakara, becoming free from ahankara, mamakara is the real spiritual journey. Is this realization? So this ahankara and mamakara leads to a sense of separation. I am, as an individual, Jiva, separate from God, Ishvara, Brahman, Jagat and world. I am finite, I am limited, I am the body and mind and intellect. So this limitation is intense suffering for the Jiva. This we call as samsara. All our efforts in stage number 1, 2, 3, 4, which I told you earlier, is to get rid of this limitation. I want to expand myself. I want to expand myself in intelligence, knowledge. I want to expand myself in money, power, position, health, wealth. All those things I am trying to expand. But all of them are futile. The problem is not in expansion. Problem is not in separation. The separation is illusion, not real. To realize I am one with Brahman, the body, mind, and the world is one reality called Brahman. Sarvam Khalvida Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. That realization should happen. So that can happen only through jnana. Till that jnana is, till that wisdom is there is a journey. The wisdom is not a journey. Journey involves activity. The wisdom is not an activity in that sense. So one major pitfall which people do in spiritual journey is they borrow their understanding from the material world. In the material world, anything I have to do, I have to work hard. Then I get result. For example, I want to build a house. I need to earn a lot of money for many years, then construct a house, then live there. So what happens? Desire comes, then there's a work or sadhana, then the phala. These are the stages. So this is the material life. This is so-called material life. But in reality, the spiritual life is not like that. In spiritual life, you're not getting what you don't have. Sadhana is required for getting what you don't have. Whereas jnana is required to recognize what you have. So jnana is important for recognizing what you have. So people start looking at spiritual life as another way of material life. That's where stage number 1 comes. Self-empowerment, self-suffering, self-improvement, self-transformation. I want to go step by step and reach something. So that seems to be not a possibility. That is not a possibility in the spiritual journey. Spiritual journey is recognizing who you are, where you are, is the spiritual journey. Do you have any questions, doctor?
No.
So your video is off.
Yeah, I think there's some power issues. Yeah. Okay.
So in this, see, the journey, the whole concept of journey comes into picture. The spiritual journey itself is a fallacy. Journey is possible where there's a time and space. Right? There's a gap between the sadhana and sadhya. So that gap is not there in the spiritual journey. So that way, the whole concept of spiritual journey is a fallacy. But of course, in the whole world, people start with this fallacy of the spiritual journey. Suppose I ask you to sit on your own shoulder. How will you do that? You cannot sit on your shoulders. You can sit on somebody else's shoulders because somebody else is separate from you. The spirit or Atma is not separate from you. There's no way, no steps are involved to get back to the self because you are the self. This whole illusion that there is a journey, there are steps involved to realize the spirit is fallacy. But people, because of social conditioning, religious conditioning, people don't understand this. That's where there is apparently there are steps in journey, but reality there's no steps in journey. Is it clear?
Yeah. It's basically removal of the ignorance and realizing
removal of ignorance. But even to removal of ignorance, people don't come. It will take a lot of maturity, lot of lifetime to understand, oh, my ignorance has to be removed. Till that time, there's a gap. There is a gap between me and God. There's a gap between me and the world. I have to cover that gap. For that, sadhana is required. I may have to go to Himalayas. I may have to go to ashram. Some effort is required. Okay. So in material world, the effort is required to achieve anything. In spiritual realization, effortlessness is required. So it's very, very counterintuitive for most of the people.
Not having any thoughts, I guess.
Huh?
Effortless meaning not having any thoughts.
Effortlessness means to become myself, I don't do anything. No effort can lead me to myself. Right? Because only thing which is required is removal of ignorance. It is like a woman wants a necklace. So husband works hard, earns money, gets a necklace for her. She goes to a marriage and she starts crying. Where is my necklace? Somebody comes and asks her, your necklace is in your neck. Oh, then she's happy. So now a man to work hard and earn money to get a necklace is sadhana, because necklace is not there with you. Sadhana is required to acquire what you don't have. But when woman lost the necklace, she didn't lose the necklace. Necklace was on the neck. She forgot that necklace is on the leg. To recognize the necklace, there is no sadhana is required. Only jnana is required.
Correct.
Right? So most of us live with the illusion that sadhana is required for realization. In reality, jnana is required for realization. When sadhana is required for realization, so it becomes a spiritual journey. That's called what we call as yoga. The yoga is possible when there is a viyoga. Oh, my goal is separate from me. So jnana is possible when there is no viyoga. I am already that. Tattvamasi. I am Brahman. That clarity is there. Only thing which is required is my ignorance has to be dropped. In jnana, there's no journey. In yoga, there is a journey. Yoga is possible when there is a time and space involved. So jnana is possible when there's no time and space involved. Yoga is possible when there's a gap between seeker and the sought. So jnana is possible when the seeker is the sought. Any questions?
No, yes, when you said that when there's time and space or there is a duality, that's evolving stages, and that's called sadhana. Eventually, you become one.
Correct. So the journey step number 1 to 5, I can compare like a tree, a big tree, a massive tree is there. So massive tree, what we call a samsara, of many lifetimes of accumulation of karma, it gives us a big forest, branches. So now how to destroy the tree? Somebody comes with a plan. Let us cut root, branches. Okay, branch by branch. So somebody comes with a plan that we will cut a big trunk. Okay. So now all these are time consuming. Cutting so many branches, cutting trunk, it takes time and effort. It requires the tools also. So then somebody comes with a very, very nice idea. Why do you worry about this thing? Take a drilling machine and drill a hole into the root of the tree. The tree will die. The samsara is like a tree. Cutting branches and roots, branches, trunk and all is like a yoga, sadhana. Going and cutting the root is jnana.
No.
So this is what I explained to my daughter, young daughter, when she was about 7-year or 8-year-old. So I said there are 2 paths for realization. One is called krama mukti, means slower, gradual progression. That's what we call as yoga. Then second thing is called sadhyo mukti, immediate liberation. Immediate liberation means with jnana, go and cut the root. So my daughter innocently asked me, my first daughter, that's fine. The tree is visible. Shoots are visible. It's easier to cut there. Root is not visible. How to drill the root? How to find where the root is there? That's a bigger problem. You say cutting the root is easy, but go and finding the root is difficult. So most of the people are focused on cutting shoots and trunk. Finally, they'll come to a point where they are able to drill the hole into the root. Root is called ajnana, ignorance. So the pitfall in the spiritual journey, which I said you, one is a survival kit, is first thing is we have a wrong understanding of spiritual life. The right understanding of spiritual life is there is no spiritual life and material life. There's only one life, divine life. The second understanding is there are the spiritual journey involves steps because of a wrong understanding of spiritual life. There's a gap between me and the world. There's a gap between me and the God. The right understanding is required. another problem, another challenge of spiritual life is we think the spirituality is some fantastic experiences. We have read so many scriptures, so many Puranas, so many lifestyles of many seekers, saints. We think that spirituality is some fantastic experience. We are looking for experience. In fact, the spirituality is not about experience. Spirituality is living here and now. Realizing my true nature as the presence. Spiritual journey, or one day I'll get enlightened, one day I'll get liberated, is false. Because that creates a goal, that creates a time. Enlightenment, liberation is always here and now. Living in the present moment and being the presence. I am the presence. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. Nanu nanembudu nanalla, ee deha manabuddhi nanalla, Sachidananda Atma Shivanannane, Shivoham, Shivom. Shivoham is the presence. Then how I interact with the world? In the present moment. But most of the people, they live in the past. The mind is in the past. Guilt, regret, grievances, sadness, bitterness, non-forgiveness is living in the past. So the past is not real and future is not real. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all form of fear is about living in the future. In the process, we miss the present moment. The present moment life is spiritual life. So we get a idea about fantastic ideas about spirituality. If you read the more spiritual books, more books of autobiographies of various people, saints you read, we start getting illusion. Spirituality is the images, pictures, drawing, stories creates illusion that I have to achieve something. Something has to happen. So nothing has to happen. You have to live in the present moment. It's not. There's nothing, no event to happen because you are already what you are. That's why Vedantic teaching is Tattvamasi. You are already that. Vedantic teaching is not you have to become somebody. So Tattvamasi, you are already that. People convert it. I have to become that. So that's where the whole understanding gets corrupted. I have to become Brahman. How will you become Brahman? You cannot become Brahman because you are already Brahman. Any attempt to become Brahman is false. So, when you are Brahman here and now. And where is Brahman? Nowhere. Not in time, not in space. Brahman is as a body and mind in the world, it's here and now. Okay. Brahman as formless reality, nowhere, not in time, not in space. So where will I find Brahman? And one day I'll get enlightened, one day I'll get liberated, one day I'll meet God. So these illusions are created by reading a lot of spiritual material without the proper guidance of a spiritual master. So I normally ask a question to people. Where are you? So Ramana Maharshi asked a question, who are you? Okay, I would say better question to start is, where are you? So they'll say, oh, I'm in Bangalore, I'm in California. So when I ask the question, where are you? It's about your mind. You may be sitting right in front of your wife, but whatever wife is saying, it doesn't even go into your head because you are somewhere else. You are in the cricket field, or you are in the football field, or you are in the office. Your mind is in the office. So where you are is where is your mind, not where is your body. Mind and body is in one place, then you are here and now. So most of the people don't live here and now. And most of the time, there are 70,000 thoughts per person per day. These 70,000 thoughts take us to past or future. We miss the present moment. Life in the present moment. We miss the presence. Presence, I am the Atma. The presence is missed. Instead of that, I identify the body. The present moment is missed. when the mind travels in the past or future. To live in the present moment is called yoga. To realize the presence is called jnana. Moment to moment, you have to live in the present moment. That's called yoga. Yoga is not something to be achieved tomorrow. Yoga is now. So this is another misconception has come in yoga. Many yogic literature says there are so many steps. Ashtanga yoga, 8 steps are there for yoga, union, and all. The yoga is here and now. The union is here and now, moment to moment. Moment to moment, living the present moment is called yoga. Moment to moment, going beyond the present moment is called presence, Atma. Yoga and jnana has to happen now. That's why Bhagavad Gita says, Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. So yoga, Bhagavad Gita doesn't teach step-by-step approach. Bhagavad Gita says, Brahma Vidya, know who you are. Then live the moment to moment yoga.
When you say union, is a union of mind and body, or bringing the mind to the present?
See, when you are in the present moment, there is no separation of any kind. For example, a musician is singing. In the ecstasy of singing, there's no singer, there's no audience, there's only music. The duality has collapsed. So in Karma Yoga, when you are fully engaged in service activity, you are not in the past, not in the future, you are in the present moment. There's no doer and deed, there's only doing. So this moment to moment, being in the present moment, is called yoga. In that yoga, there's a union. Of course, it's momentary because it will change. But that momentary union is called yoga. So, doctor, whatever interpretation I'm giving is not standard interpretation which is given in the spiritual circle today. Okay. So if you tell this, people may get a little bit worried. Their understanding is different from you what you're saying. But I'm trying to get you the real crux of the understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. Yeah.
Okay. Because normal understanding is I have to do yoga for many years, yoga sadhana, then I have to purify my mind, then I get jnana. Okay. So that yoga is made as a step-by-step approach. Yoga is not step-by-step. Yoga is the moment to moment. So Buddha says, living in the present moment, moment to moment, is called enlightenment. So basically living, sorry?
I mean, all the Ashtanga, Yama, Niyama, they're all preparatory stages to get to that point, isn't it?
I'm saying I don't want to get into that discussion because I've already given many talks on the yoga. So there is a lot of misconception in the interpretation of yoga. Tremendous amount of misconception, not even a little bit. Saraswati. Okay, so is this clear what I said so far?
Yeah.
So basically, in the spiritual life, there's tremendous amount of misconception, misunderstanding, wrong interpretation. So now, okay, with that understanding, so somebody enters into spiritual life. Like anything in life, there's a support system required. So this, I call it as from seeker to self-realized. I use the word S everywhere. S. 6 S. Seeker to self-realization or sakshatkara, self-realization called sakshatkara. So I need support is required. Again, another yes. Support is called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 support. Sadhya, sadhana, shastra, seva, sharanagati, sadguru. These are the 6 support systems for seeker to self-realized. Sadhya means goal. What am I trying to do? The clarity is required. The crystal clear clarity of spiritual goal. Spiritual goal is not outside of myself. I'm seeking myself. That clarity is most of the people, it's missing. Sadhana, initial stages, you have to overcome your mental lethargy. You have to go through, you have to struggle through your mental habit patterns called vasana and samskara. It's not going to be easy. Person may behave tamasic, dull, lazy. He has to, from laziness, he has to move into rajasic activity. From rajasic, he has to go into sattvic, happiness and knowledge. And beyond that, he has to go. So there is a approach required in mastering the mind before you can transcend the mind. So that we call it sadhana or practice. So then what can help? Because first level, people get help from books. They read this book, that book, spiritual books. Scriptures are definitely helpful. Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, they are helpful. Shastra becomes support. But the books can take you to some extent. They cannot take you all the way. The books can give some pointers, but realization is difficult with books alone. Seva or service is required because spiritual journey is about dropping your ego. You have to see God in everybody and do service. That's the way of surrendering the ego, dropping the ego. This seva is required. So yeah, beyond certain point, when I do service, I have a sense of doership. I'm doing service. That has to go. And surrender has to happen. And non-doership has to be realized. And beyond that, a realization will happen when you meet a realized master. A Sadguru, a realized master. A realized master is the living book. This teaching of the scriptures become alive in the presence of living master. So I would say 6 pillars or support systems are required. Sadhya, sadhana, shastra, seva, sharanagati, sadguru. The 6 S will take seeker from self-realization, seeker to sakshatkara or self-realization. And I'll tell you, getting all this together is not easy. Okay? It is because of many lifetimes of good karma, only somebody can get all this in a very right condition, right way. Any questions, doctor? 6S?
No, very, very methodical and very easy to understand.
All right. So most of the people, what do I'll do? I'm doing a spiritual journey. I read books. I have read hundreds of books. Still, see, every step there is a problem. So when you say survival kit for spiritual journey, each step has a problem. Sadhya, most of the people don't even know what spiritual journey is. They have understood only spiritual journey is vague idea. Right? Sadhana, what sadhana I have to do? Okay. What spiritual practice I have to do? We don't know. So many people do very intense spiritual practices. Okay, think that is spiritual practice. I've seen people, okay, as a spiritual practice, very, what I'm saying is very horrible, I'm saying wrong practices. Okay. Everywhere you can see many wrong practices in the name of spirituality. Nothing to do with spirituality. To give you an example, one example, Buddha thought body is a problem. So he stopped eating. Body became very weak. And he was on the verge of collapse. Then he realized, I should not punish the body. Body is not a problem. Right? That if Buddha himself had such a wrong idea of sadhana, many people have many more complicated sadhana. Sadguru, sorry, what is it? Next what I call as
Shastra.
Shastra, scriptures. Scriptures you read, okay? The scriptures are not interactive. They don't clarify your doubt. Then whatever you read in scripture, you'll interpret based on your own mindset. Right? So, love thy neighbor is a very beautiful teaching. Based on your interpretation, you can start loving your neighbor's wife. You will interpret based on your own ideas. Right? So, scripture can be misinterpreted, misunderstood based on our own vasanas and samskaras. The spiritual reading, spiritual learning has to be interactive. So that's where example is how many people learned swimming through a book. Right? So finally, you have to get into water. Similarly, how many people can learn music through? There are many books on music. How many people can learn music through books? It requires a guidance of a teacher. When you say something, the teacher will have to correct it. There's an interactive session required. That way, books alone cannot lead to realization. Sadhana alone cannot lead to realization because you don't know what type of sadhana you are doing. Where you are lacking. Sadhya, our aim is not clear because already we have a vague idea. So next comes what we call as seva, service. So most of the people, all of our life, we live with a selfishness. I, myself, for me. A narrow view of myself. If I don't expand that view of myself to outside, the ego will get any spiritual sadhana will strengthen the ego. Instead of weakening the ego, it will strengthen the ego. That's why Swami Vivekananda gave a lot of importance to service. Service of people, service in the society. In fact, I remember Swami Vivekananda came back to India. People are standing in a queue to have darshan of him. Vivekananda didn't get up from his seat for 3 days, 24 into 3 days. He didn't even take his food. Okay? Service. Removing the tears of the suffering. Doing service. That's where your ego becomes purified. Tamasic to Rajasic to Sattvic ego. In the recent example, we see Mata Amritandamayi. She has hugged crores and crores of people. When she sit for darshan, she will sit for 18 hours, 20 hours, no food, no biological needs. So, can we live as if there's no ego, as if there's no selfishness? Seva is important. People think that I can read books, I can do some sadhana, but without seva, no sadhana is complete. So then comes the Sharanagati, surrender. Okay, I am doing service. That also is a ego will come. So it's the God who works through me. I'm just an instrument. I surrender to God. So this has to come. So that's why the journey takes place. Kamya karma, selfishness, to nishkama karma, selflessness, selfless service, to naishkarmya. In selfless service, your karma yoga comes into picture. Karma yoga is any action is done as an offering to God, Ishvara. Ishvararpitam Nechayakritam, Chitta Shodakam, Mukti Sadhakam. That becomes purifying. In my opinion, in my understanding, without service, no spiritual practice is complete. Our mind and body should be dedicated to service of God. God in the form of human beings, living beings. So that is seva. So kamya karma is selfish action. To nishkama karma is selfless action, selfless service, and to then transcendence or naishkarmya. So that's how the journey happens.
From Nishkama Karma to Naishkarmya, that's kind of an evolution of your...
Nishkama Karma to Naishkarmya. Nishkama Karma starts purifying you. Service purifies you. And then Chitta Shuddhi happens. A master, realized master will appear in your life. Sadguru. That's why Sadguru is kept as last step. Sadguru is a realized master. So here again, we don't have a clarity. Who is realized master? Whom should I be my guru? At any point of time, we'll get some guru. All gurus will show us direction. But only when you meet Sadguru, your complete realization happens. Realization cannot happen until you meet your realized master. Because everything written in books is just a concept for us. We need a living, concrete example. For example, love. What is love? Love is a God, people say. Okay. So, boy gets a diamond ring to the girl. I love you. So, love becomes diamond ring. Okay. I love you. He gives flower. Love becomes flower. We can only see concrete examples. Finally, love is so subtle. Love is so universal. In an enlightened being, we see the radiation, the presence much more easily compared to an unenlightened being. So the master becomes the living book of realization. So that's where the 6S is required in our spiritual journey. So will everybody get it? No. It will happen to everybody? Not necessary. Based on your good karma, based on your past life, based on a lot of karma, which you good merit you have done, you'll get it. There also problems are there. In these 6S, if any S is wrong, okay, one S I forgot one S actually. First one I would put it as Sangha. Sangha also another thing I missed it. I call it as Sadhya Sangha. Sangha is right company. So what I would say, very important is Sadhya, clarity, or Sangha. Sangha means right company. A satsanga, a good company is very important. So when we say, Buddha says, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Sangam Sharanam Gacchami, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Dharma is required, Sangha is required. A good company. Everything in our life we learn in a company, good company. The Sangha is very important. Whether it's a job or programming or swimming, we learn in a company. Bad habits, we learn in a company. A company of good people is important. That's why Sri Shankaracharya says, Satsangatve, Nisangatvam, Nisangatve, Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve, Nischalatatvam, Nischalatatve, Jivan Mukti. Sri Shankaracharya gives us Satsanga, very important. Satsanga has 3 dimensions. The first dimension of Satsanga is a good company, good seekers. So with whom you are able to discuss, support each other, and learn from each other. Second meaning of it's called Manana group. We here in our Light of Self Foundation, we have created Vedanta study circle, which is Manana group, Satsanga group, support group. In Light of Self Foundation, we have a Satsang groups where people get together, do contemplation, support each other in understanding the teachings. Satsanga. Then comes Satsanga, also means Satsanga, to be in the company of the enlightened one. In the presence of the master, our evolution takes place. That's called Satsanga. The master is the living book. And what kind of a master? Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. One who is self-realized. Not only self-realized, he is able to teach also. A master is realized, but not able to teach. He is called a saint, Santa. Is not called Sadguru. Sadguru should have the ability to teach, communicate. Sadguru. Satsanga, second meaning of Satsanga is Sadguru. The third meaning of Satsanga is meditation, Nididhyasa. You have to be in the company of your own self. Satsanga has 3 dimensions. The company of seekers, when you are outward. Presence of the master, when you are sitting, when your master is available. And presence within yourself as meditation. Satsangatve nisangatvam. With that, all attachment will drop. Nisangatve nirmohatvam. So with that, all attachment drops. Nirmohatve nischaladatvam. You realize your true self, which is the unchanging reality. Any questions, sir?
No, depending upon his prior karma, during the stages of 1 to 5, one might reach whatever stage it is kind of due in their life. Right. I think that being happy that at least I've made some progress and hoping for a better situation next life.
So, actually, to say a generalized toolkit for any spiritual journey is difficult, because each of the stage there can be a lot of pitfalls. Okay, so going to next.
And the scripture part, I think sometimes that could be, unless it is learned properly with a lot of terminologies, different definitions, looking at a tree as opposed to a forest type of example, you don't get the whole picture. Sometimes it can be confusing as well.
No, it is scriptures are really, see, okay, I'll tell you what is the problem, what is the difficulty with scriptures?
Multiple authors and different commentaries.
Scriptures, right? Most of the scriptures are in Sanskrit. Okay, the Sanskrit language has flexibility. The same word can communicate different meanings, different connotations. Okay, the scripture languages, they say what a visual language is there. They say the language of communication is visual. He roared like a lion. So then we start looking for a person who's that's not a person. Okay, he roared like a lion. Okay, then this is what I call graphical, visual language, right? Or the girl is so beautiful. Her eyes are like moon. Okay, her smile is like a pearl. So you start looking for such a beautiful girl, right? So it's called graphical language, visual language. So now, if you do, without understanding visual language meaning, we start reading scriptures, it'll be confusing. So then that's one problem. Second problem is the scriptures is the inner experience is explained in terms of outer reality, because there's no way to, right? So, for example, on top of Himalayas, enlightened beings are found. So then we start going to Himalayas. Without understanding, it's a graphical language. Himalaya stands for peak of consciousness. So on the peak of consciousness, all enlightened beings are there. Hima is snow. Snow, frozen snow, it represents the mind. Top of the frozen mind, the awareness is there. That's Dani. Without knowing that, we are in the spiritual journey, at least you have to make a trip to Himalayas. We get misled, right? There are many such things, examples. So what I call visual language to express the inner reality to outer inner reality in terms of outer objects. There's no other way. So then what happens? It confuses people. So that's where any spiritual teaching has multiple level meanings, multiple level of interpretation. Adi Vaudika, Adi Daivika, Adhyatmika. Adi Vaudika, Adi Daivika, Adhyatmika. Physical, metaphysical, and spiritual meanings are there. Okay. And physical, metaphysical, spiritual meaning can be explained in a graphical language, language of sculptor, language of sculpture, or auditory language, or so it's explained in sensual language. So basically, many Sufis were there. Many Sufis were persecuted at some point of time. Then they started writing spiritual literature in terms of love story between the boy and the girl. The intoxication of spirit, they started writing in terms of liquor. So everything can be misinterpreted. Then we have a term called surapana. Surapana or liquor is called surapana. So devatas dance drinking liquor, surapana. Without understanding, surapana is nothing but joy or ecstasy of devotion. And Devata is not a person. Devata is the consciousness. So Chakshu Devata means consciousness of eyes. Indra Devata means consciousness of mind, one who controls the Indriya. So we start creating illusion of time, space, people, being. So there is Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, Adidevik, Adhyatmik. In the Adhyatmik, there are three levels of meaning. Rudartha, Gudartha, Yogartha. Rudartha, Yogartha, Gudartha. For example, when people say brahmachari, the common meaning of brahmachari, Rudartha, is a student. So that got corrupted over a point of time. Student is not married, so not married person becomes brahmachari in the Rudartha, common man's meaning. In the yogic meaning, brahmachari means Brahmani Charitam Manasam, one who is a seeker, one whose mind is constantly going to Brahman in Yogartha. Then Gudartha is there. Real intended meaning. Intended meaning is everything moves in Brahman. The time, space, the world moves in Brahman. So, difficulty of understanding language, difficulty of understanding the physical, metaphysical, spiritual meaning, getting confused by the literary use of words, poetic language, inner experience expressed in the outer language, outer words. So all these are the pitfalls in the spiritual journey. Are these pitfalls in understanding books? Nothing wrong in understanding books, but to understand, think that books, I understood the spirituality through books is may not be right. Right? So many of the Westerners write commentary on Vedas. So Agni Mede Purohitam is the first mantra of Rigveda. Offer to the fire. So the Agni there is not the fire. Agani. Ga means gati. Ni means niyati. A means what has no motion, it gives the motion. Jada or objects don't have motion. Something which gives to motion is the willpower of divine. So the fire is it's not a fire being worshipped. So now, to understand scripture, we need a person who can explain to us well. Such a person is called Acharya. Acharya himself should have a well understanding of scriptures. Okay, he should have learned from some tradition where real meaning of intended meaning of scriptures comes to us. That's called parampara. But then again we'll get lost in the scriptures. The real scripture is a living master. So Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa didn't know any scriptures. But what he spoke became scriptures. What he spoke is Vachana Veda. His words are scriptures. With simple example, he'll tell very deep scriptural truths. Even the great scholars of Vedas who were sitting in front of him could not understand. Right? So now we get fascinated and get carried away with knowledge, books. Reality is we have to find a realized master. Then the understanding becomes deeper and clearer. Otherwise, most of the people are lost in that spiritual books itself. Am I clear?
Yeah. And Ramana will be the same. He didn't also study in the scriptures, right? He went to.
Right. That I'm not discouraging study of scriptures.
Yeah.
Understand? I'm not discouraging study of scriptures. Scriptures are important, useful, but there's a limitation. Right? That limitation, without knowing the limitation, people get stuck in that. So, how many paths are there for spiritual journey? I'll chant a sloka of Bhagavad Gita. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Bhagavan Uvacha.
Loke Asmin.
Loke Asmin.
Vivida Nishta.
Vivida Nishta.
Pura Prokta.
Pura Prokta.
Nyanaga.
Nyanaga.
Nana Yogena.
Nana Yogena.
Sankhyanam.
Sankhyanam.
Karma Yogena Yoginam.
Karma Yogena Yoginam.
So, Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 3.3, there are two types of lifestyle. Lifestyle of a monk, sannyasi, and lifestyle of a householder, karma yogi, are told. There are two lifestyles possible for spiritual journey. Lifestyle of a householder and lifestyle of a karma yogi. Now, our mind is very good in choosing. Oh, spiritual journey is a monk. We want to choose. See, our mind is always whatever is far away, it looks very nice. Okay? No. Spiritual means you have to be a monk. You have to leave everything. Sri Krishna says no. There are two. Actually, again, this is misinterpreted, this sloka. There are two lifestyles. One lifestyle is sannyasa and other lifestyle is karma yoga. Okay? It's a lifestyle. It's not two paths of spiritual journey. Right? So there is no path to spiritual journey, because where is the path to yourself? So if I ask you, what is the distance between my two hands? You'll say 1 meter, half a meter, 2 points. If I ask you, which is the way to Mysore? You'll say this way. But if I ask you, which is the way to space? This is the way to space, this is the way to space, this is the way to space, this is the way to space. Space is everywhere. Atma is Brahman, is all pervading reality. Anywhere you go, you'll bump into Atma only. Nothing other than Atma or Brahman is there. In that sense, spirituality is a spirituality is a pathless path. But in that pathless path, two lifestyles are possible. Lifestyle of a householder and lifestyle of a monk. So now in common man's understanding, to be spiritual, you have to be a monk. So Sri Krishna says, a karma yogi is nothing but monk only, sannyasi only. Living a life of karma yoga, life dedicated to God, is nothing but sannyasa. So what is the difference between sannyasa and karma yoga then? Sannyasa, you don't have anything, you don't need to do. Sannyasi, you don't need to do anything to do for your personal body maintenance and family maintenance. So you are freed from some work. Now you have more time available for what? Atma mokshartham jagaditaya. Self-realization, selfless service. So your focus is more on self-realization, selfless service. Shravana, Mana, Nidyasa, selfless service. Jagaditaya. That's for sannyasi, practically 24 hours is available for self-realization, selfless service. Whereas for a householder, a couple of hours he has to spend to take care of himself and family members. The rest of the time he has to spend in Atma Mokshatam Jagaditaya. So a karma yogi and sannyasi are two lifestyles, nothing else. They are not two spiritual paths. Any questions? Is that clear?
Yes.
So now, we think that we have to balance material life and spiritual life. There are no two lives. Life is not split into material and spiritual. There's only one divine life, because consciousness alone is there. It's our understanding which has to be corrected. Life has not to be balanced. The challenges, pitfalls in spiritual journey is we are like blind people trying to figure out an elephant. Each person will come back. One person will say, trunk is like a snake. Another person says it's like a tree. Each person gives his own opinion. The spiritual journey becomes complicated, not because journey itself is complicated, but because of the conditioning we go through. Religious conditioning, multiple opinions, multiple understanding and interpretation of scriptures. This causes confusion in our mind. And many of the people who give the spiritual teaching are like blind men. One blind man cannot lead another blind man. We start following the words of blind man, we end up into blind LA. Our problem is, because we are blind, when they're spiritually blind, we don't know what is truth. In this situation of our spiritual blindness, how to find out a master who has eyes? I can't recognize who is a master with eyes. Right? A blind man cannot find out who is not blind. So that's where it said, you cannot find a master. Master will appear in your life when you are ready. We can search for masters, we can seek masters, but ultimately a real Sadguru or enlightened master will appear in your life when you are ready. Till that point of time, you cannot find. Because a blind man cannot find a person with who has eyes. Only destiny, good karma, and maturity will take him to a realized master.
So is it fair to say there is nothing like it's all predestined and there is no effort? We think there may be some value, but it's going to happen if it's going to happen.
No. The predestined doesn't mean nothing to do. All of us have a sense of free will. I can do something, right? So suppose you get a fever. You'll say, whatever is destined to happen will happen. No. First thing is you'll run to the doctor. We have a sense of doership. We have a sense of free will. That sense of doership and free will has to be engaged in sadhana. So only caveat put here is that you will not be able to find a realized master. You can find acharyas, gurus you can find. Because you can, there's some symptom. A good acharya can give very good allocation of his Sanskrit text, scripture. So you can, it is a skill. Whereas a realized being, he may have skills, but he himself radiates that wisdom. So it is difficult. And realized wisdom being has no external symptoms, external marks. So in that sense, it's difficult to find a realized master. If you find one, that's your good karma. Any questions? Let's go to the next one. How do I go to the next page? So, the challenge of life is the challenge of life. In our life, we have outer life and we have inner life. Outer life is, I have to work for my family, I have to work for my survival, I have to get money, power, position, otherwise I can't survive. And we have inner life. I have to get money because I want to relax, I want to find peace, I want to love, for which I don't have to work. So there seems to be total conflict between outer and inner. The intelligent way of living is to align the outer and inner. Align in such a way that your life is for Atma mokshartam jagadidaya, self-realization, selfless service. So then you don't have a conflict in the outer and inner. Your focus is clear. What is required, how much is required, and what you need to do about it. So if your life is not aligned, outer and inner, there's a problem. For example, somebody says, I want to make money. I want more money. Why want more money? I want to spend more time in meditation. But more money means more work. How do you spend more time in meditation? You don't have time. Okay. So now we have earned enough money. Do I put a limit? Where do I draw the limit? It keeps on creeping. Unless your focus is clear, how do I align the inner and outer life? We are dragged into outer world. The alignment is very important. And the spiritual life is not something tomorrow. It's today. Today, how do I align my priorities? I need some time for my day-to-day work, my survival. How do I dedicate some time for my spiritual life, Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasa? And how do I dedicate some time for what we call as service? So our day has to be 3 parts: for family and person, survival; for Atma mokshatam, self-realization, and selfless service. Otherwise, life is imbalanced. Otherwise, you start taking life as a tug of war between the outer and inner. No. Each supports each other. Then, another concept we have, spiritual life means ashram. I want to go to ashram and have peace. Ashram is a place in Himalayas or a monk. It's a wrong concept of ashram. Ashram means a shrama. Where there is no stress is called ashram. Our ancient people designed the 4 stages of life as ashrama. Ashrama is not a place. Ashrama is how you live. So this is again another misconception of spiritual life. Spirituality means I have to go to some ashram. Array, you don't have to go to ashram. Where you are, you have to find ashram. Ashram means no shrama, no stress. So brahmacharya ashram is student life. Grahastha ashram is married life. Vanaprastha is retired life. Sannyasa ashram is renunciate life. And each of these is called sannyasa ashrama, brahmacharya ashrama, grahastha ashrama, vanaprastha ashrama, sannyasa ashrama. It's called ashrama. Word is added everywhere. Ashrama is not a place where monks live. This is actually a later connotation. So brahmacharya or student life becomes ashrama or stress-free when student is learning karma yoga. Student life is training for karma yoga. Grahastha becomes ashrama when husband and wife live for panchakarma, panchayadna, dharmic life, and dedicate for jnana yoga. Both husband and wife, dharma, artha, kama, moksha are the aims. Kama and artha, life is focused on kama and artha, sex and money. Life will be stress, it is shrama. When dharma comes into your life and moksha comes into your life, the life will be beautiful. Ashrama. So then, vanaprastha, retired life, is for preparation for jnana yoga or renunciation, a meditative life, upasana. And sannyasa is jnana yoga, shravana, manana, nidhyasa. So basically, spirituality is not something you have to go out and find. Spirituality is something you have to integrate into day-to-day life. In your 4 stages of life: student life, householder life, retired life, and monkhood. The spiritual life has to be integrated. And then it becomes ashrama. Otherwise, we have a concept of ashram. Oh, I went to ashram, spent 3 days. What nice peace I got. And when you come to house, shrama has come. So it's wrong. It's not correct. This is another misconception which people have. Is it clear? Any questions on this? For most of the people, ashrama means where monks live. Some trees are there, some forest is there, very peaceful place. The art of living or making it happen in your house, in your lifestyle is called spiritual living. In your life and in your profession also. So, actually, we call ourselves a human being. Human is the body, being is the Atma. None of us are aware of our inner nature, Atma. In fact, reality is I am being operating through body. So the shift in understanding, I am not body, but I am Atma operating through the body. This body has to be put to right use. Is called spiritual journey. So what is the problem here? We identify with the body. The one who identifies the body is called ego. Ego is continuously restless. It wants to keep on do something. Creates the outer purposes because it wants to expand. It is feeling unlimited. Continuously, it is trying to expand. It wants to become something. Being is what you are. You don't have to become anything. You don't even have to become enlightened. What you are is already reality. No. I read spiritual literature. I want to become enlightened. So I want to become enlightened is the goal of the ego. I want to get liberated is the goal of the ego. I am liberated. I am Atma. I am free is being. Without knowing this, the ego keep on creating more and more goals. It's called becoming. The ego lives in the past or future. It's never satisfied the present moment. In the present moment, if you are there, you are already Atma. The present moment is perfect. You are the presence. Ego will create past and future. And mind which is driven by the ego will keep on floating in time and space. Think of America, it will go run 3,000 miles. Think of 20 years, it will go back, 20 years go back. Time and space will run. It will not come to the present moment. So ego is always in the concept of becoming. It will compare with somebody. Oh, he is more spiritual than me. He is more enlightened. I want to become enlightened like this. The becoming becomes the goal. The spiritual journey, becoming is a big problem. Seeking experience is a big problem. You can't become anything. You are what you are, here and now. You cannot get enlightened in time and space, in future. It's here and now. Spirituality is not about experiences. Experiences come and go. They are temporary. In fact, if you remember Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's story, he used to see Divine Mother, Kali. Then Totapuri comes and says, drop the Kali. Realize who you are. So that time Gadadhara becomes Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Even all visions, everything is temporary. So without knowing this, we keep on going after visions and experience after experiences. That's a spiritual journey. I want to get a beautiful experience, blissful experience. You have nowhere to go. You have nothing to do. You are already where you are. The real you does not need anything. The fake you, ego, is never at rest. It is constantly trying to become something, at least minimum enlightenment. Is it clear, doctor?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, it's a good statement that the journey or all this for the fake ego or the real one. Nowhere to go, you're already there.
Yeah.
You are it.
Right. So the whole discussion is about spiritual, the pitfalls and what is the toolkit for spiritual journey. Entire toolkit for spiritual journey is for the ego.
Correct.
For you, there is no journey toolkit. Now the question is, who is asking the question? To say you don't have to do anything, ego cannot accept it.
Correct. It will come up with something. It will come up with something.
It will come with something. See, enlightenment, see, I read that book. In enlightenment, so many things happened. Nothing has happened to me. I have something. No, that, I'm not enlightened. I want to do something about it. To be here and now and to be the presence is enlightenment, sir. It cannot happen in future. It cannot happen in any time or space. So minimum time for enlightenment, I need to go to Himalayas once. That also doesn't happen because it's not in a place. So if you are, the teaching is you are not the doer. Somewhere you have to find some doership. At least I have to do something to get my enlightenment also. That's why prapatti or surrender is the highest realization. Sri Krishna, after telling 18 chapters, after actually bombarding Arjuna with so many 700 slokas, it tells final conclusion. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam praja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami mahashuchaha. Oh Arjuna, drop all dharmas. Dharma means kshatriya dharma, dharma of a householder. No, he's not speaking of drop dharmas. He is speaking of drop karmas. So even karma you cannot drop. Kshatriya karma also you can drop. You have to drop the doership. The moment you drop the doership, you are free. But now, what do I have to do? Get enlightened. Doership has come. What sadhana I have to do? What package I have to carry in my spiritual journey so that I can do something, my spiritual sadhana complete continuously. So you are bringing the doership. The entire spiritual journey is non-doership. surrender. Its entire journey is effortless. But ego will not accept. I have to do something about it. I have to put effort. Is it clear, Doctor? Any questions?
No.
You have a very powerful toolkit. What is that?
Yeah.
Throw all the tools.
If some audience, if they bring up the non-Vedantic way of whatever they hear Alan Watts or Rupert Spira. I mean, they're also speaking about the same thing, but it's a different approach, like Ramana, I think, right?
Yeah. That approach is a approach. See, here we cannot confuse people because people come with some framework.
Correct.
Okay, that framework suddenly cannot change. We have to talk to them in that framework. At the same time, gently, slowly bringing them out of reality.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you cannot bring out somebody out of framework. No. So, what are the challenges? Our conscious mind is a small percentage, 10%. Our subconscious mind is deep-rooted. Our vasanas, beliefs, samskaras are hidden there. When I say I know myself, something I know about myself, known to others also, what I call as openly available. Something I know about myself, others people, I know myself, but other people don't know about it. That's hidden. Then beliefs about self, world, and God is not known to me. I have come, it's a culturally conditioned. It's a blind spot for me. It's not known to me, not known to others also. So only a realized person has this unknown part. He has realized that he is very clear. Under his guidance, spiritual evolution can happen. Spiritual jump can happen. I won't call it evolution. In the absence, and actually basically what we know is very little about ourselves and the world that we think is 100%. The day you know that you don't know, your journey, the spiritual journey is mainly the day I realize I don't know. I want to seek. It is not a question of how many spiritual books you have read, how much spiritual knowledge you have accumulated. I don't know. There are two types of fire. The fire of desire, Kama Agni, fire of wisdom, Jnana Agni. Both are fires. So Kama Agni is, I want to become something. I want to achieve something. I want to do something. It's the ego. The ego cannot be subdued by fulfilling the desires. So ego is constantly driving us through Kamya Karma, selfish action. Nishkama Karma starts purifying the ego. Jnanagni Dagda Karmani, fire of wisdom, burns the ego. That gives us the relief. But to get the fire of Jnana, you need an Acharya to understand scriptures, and you have to a Sadguru in whose presence ego can be dropped. So many people think that meditation leads to enlightenment. On the contrary, meditation doesn't lead to enlightenment. Meditation is looking at our subconscious impressions and becoming free. So jnana is required. Intellectual clarity, which is conscious mind, is required. With that intellectual clarity, when we look at the subconscious and conscious get integrated. Otherwise, vasanas and samskaras in subconscious mind will be conflicting with the jnana. So jnana is tattvamasi. You are already Brahman. So why I am not feeling like Brahman? Your vasanas and samskaras are there in subconscious mind. Meditation is to clear the vasanas and samskaras with the jnana, clarity, conscious mind. So when there is a rajoguna, when your mind is predominant rajoguna, vikshepa, thoughts will come. Okay, when thoughts come, hold on to a thought called I am sakshi. Thoughts will reduce. When tamoguna predominates, You feel like sleepy. Try to avoid meditation after taking food. Be alert. Raga, dvesha, likes and dislikes will come. They're called kashaya. These subconscious impressions come. Don't react to raga, dvesha, subconscious impressions. Oh, there's a pain. I don't like it. I can't sit for meditation. Don't react. Just be witness. The kashaya will go. Sattva-guna, I'm enjoying, I'm very blissful in meditation. I want to meditate more. That's called sattva-guna. Even that is called addiction. So you have to become gunatita. My nature is bliss. It's called jnana. It's not, I'm experiencing bliss is called dhyana. I'm experiencing bliss is called meditation. So do not get addicted to meditation also. Realize your true nature is bliss. Any questions, doctor?
No.
So people get addicted to spiritual practice also because that makes them blissful. The freedom is finally freedom from spiritual practice also. Totapuri taught Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, she was seeing Divine Mother in front of his inner eye vision. He said, cut her with the sword of knowledge. Then realize you are Brahman. In 3 days, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa established in Nirvikalpa Samadhi or realized state. So after that, he comes out, goes for food and comes back. Then Topadara said, come, let's meditate. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, why meditation? Totapuri says, without meditation, mind will get corrupted. See this, he shows his vessel, water vessel. See, this water vessel will get dirty unless I polish it every day. Then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa asks, what if the water vessel is nothing but gold? You don't need to wash it every day. So what happens? Final addiction is addiction to spiritual practices. That's also should be dropped. You have to come out of that by realizing I am the Atma. That's called Sahaja Samadhi. In spiritual practice or meditation, you will get a temporary bliss, happiness. But even that is temporary. Your real nature is not dependent on any activity, including meditation. So journey is from speech. Journey is Jada Samadhi, Jnana Samadhi, Sahaja Samadhi. Jada Samadhi means sleep is actually, in sleep you are Brahman only. Many people try to make mind thoughtless. It's a sleep-like state, blissful, but no jnana is there. In Jnana Samadhi or Chetana Samadhi, is called Nididhyasa, comes from Viveka Vairagya, discrimination, dispassion. There's a deep-rooted thought, I am Brahman is there initially. Then finally, that I am Brahman thought is dropped. You are established as Brahman. Then Sahaja Samadhi or Jivan Mukta, it lives with the understanding that I am Brahman in the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. I don't need any practice to become Brahman. It is like saying, I am a man. I don't need practice to be man. I am already man. In whatever condition, I am man. Jivan Mukta is living as Brahman in any state. So, spiritual journey is to realize oneness of existence. I am one with the totality. I am Brahman. It is not that I have to become one with the totality. I am already one. Recognizing the existing oneness and non-duality is called spiritual journey. It's not that I have to get it. I am already that. That's why Vedantic teaching is Tattvamasi. You are already that. Don't try to make it as you become that. The ego language is you become that. Any questions? So I have come to end conclusion. Do you have any questions? Any more tools you need in the kit?
No, it was very wonderful. You carried through the entire spectrum.
Yeah.
describing all the steps and the pitfalls and the essence of the journey. Thank you. It's very good.
So this to this self, it's a direct path. Who am I? I have to become something is the path of yoga. It's the path of the mind, ego. But we can't say you don't have to become. People want to go through that path, the effort. That's where the spiritual journey comes. They'll try to do something, they'll fall back. Oh, I'm not able to meditate. I didn't do my practices. I didn't do japa. All those things will come because they're all still at the mental domain. We cannot say come out of the mental domain. We can only say, Sri Krishna says, Abhyasa prayatna. Abhyasa prayatna, you do. Abhyasa balena prayatna. You have to do because you are still in the mental domain. Any more questions? Any questions from people on Zoom? Vidya, Katyayani, Pratibha, Asha Lakshmi, anybody has a question? Mala?
No questions, Guruji.
No questions, Guruji, other than surrendering.
Okay.
It means that abhyasa bala means until
Yes.
I feel that I am mind or body, this abhyasa is necessary. That's what you mean?
Right. So, mana eva karanam manshana bandha moksha. Mind alone cause of bondage and liberation. Using the mind, try to master the mind. Okay. Using the mind, try to drop the mind. So, abhyasa, practice, slowly, you have to gain mastery over the mind.
So you also told sometime back, mind is like a programming software, right? Programmed software and things like that. So you're right now, if abhyasa itself means like that, so I'm trying to program into a
You have to change
sattva-guna kind of
sattva-guna to rajaguna to sattva-guna program.
It's like I'm changing the program into stages of that.
Slightly
Right?
better programs. But final solution is to get rid of all the programs. Get out of all programs.
Yeah, that's the jump out of, I mean.
Okay. Shall we close for the day, doctor? It's must be late for you.
No, this was wonderful. Thank you for accommodating this, and it was very nice. And thank you very much.
Okay. So good night.
Namaste. Thank you. Yeah.
Asatoma.
Asatoma. Adgamaya.
Tamasoma.
Tamasoma.
Jyotirgamaya.
Jyotirgamaya.
Satyorma.
Utyorma.
Samgamaya.
Anurangamaya.
Om. Shanti.
Shanti. Shanti. Shanti.
Lokaha samastaha.
Lokaha samastaha.
Kino bhavantu.
Kino bhavantu.
Lokaha samastaha.
Lokaha samastaha.
Kino bhavantu.
Kino bhavantu.
Lokaha samastaha.
Lokaha samastaha.
Kino bhavantu.
Kino bhavantu.
Harihi Om.
Hri Om.
Gurubhyo namaha.
Gurubhyo namaha.
Harihi Om.
Hri Om.
So to summarize, doctor, the direct and shortest path is nature of self-enquiry through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa. Okay, but most of the people require more support system in terms of practices, tools, which is called Yoga Marga. Yoga Marga prepares the mind for Dhyana. In the Yoga Marga, when you travel, there'll be a lot of pitfalls. There'll be fallbacks. There'll be wrong expectations, wrong understandings, fallbacks, falls will be there. Fall will be there. Even Dhyana, there can be wrong understanding also. So finally, if there is a realized master in your life, the spiritual journey, the pitfalls are avoided. Surrender to a realized master is the final tool.
True.